Let me tell you a story, one that still sends shivers down my spine whenever I dare to recall it. It's a tale that blurs the lines between reality and nightmare, between innocence and something far more sinister. It all begins with a childhood friend, or so I thought. Her name was Betsy, a girl I met when I was just a child, living in a world of broken dreams and fractured families. My mother had left us when I was 5, leaving my father to drown his sorrows in the bottom of a bottle. Neglected and left to our own devices, my sister and I found solace in the company of each other and in the companionship of Betsy. Betsy was different, special even. She appeared out of nowhere, like a wisp of smoke on a moonless night. With her the world seemed brighter, the shadows less daunting. We explored the woods together, delving into the darkness with the fearless curiosity of youth. She showed me secret places, hidden away from prying eyes, where we could be free to be ourselves. But as the years passed, Betsy began to fade, like a forgotten dream slipping through my fingers. I saw her less and less, until one day she was gone, vanished into the ether without a trace. She moved away, my father said, closer to her school, leaving me alone once more in a world that had grown cold and hostile. It wasn't until years later, when I was visiting my father and my sister, that I dared to speak of Betsy again. I was speaking of the tales of our adventures, of the bond we shared, only to be met with laughter and disbelief. Betsy was imaginary, they said. You were just a lonely child, talking to yourself in your room. But I knew they were wrong. I could still feel her presence, lingering in the corners of my mind, and then came the revelation that shook me to my core. I stood up and said Betsy was not imaginary. She even came with us to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving one year. My dad got serious and said, "No, there was never anyone there. Boy, you would just go up to your room and play and talk to yourself when Betsy came over." And my sister agrees with him and makes me text my aunt, who also says, "No, you brought an imaginary friend to Thanksgiving that year." If Betsy was just my imagination, then where the hell did I go when I went for playing and sleepovers? I very clearly remember her. What she looked like, how she sounded, and even I have a very vague recollection of her room. The answers were beyond my reach, but one thing was certain. Something sinister lurked in the shadows of my past, something that refused to be forgotten. And as the darkness closed in around me, I realized that I was not alone. Betsy was still there, watching, waiting, her presence a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk just beyond the edge of perception. So beware, dear friends, for in the darkest corners of our minds there are things that should never be unearthed, secrets that should never see the light of day. And if you ever find yourself alone in the dead of night, remember this tale of Betsy, and pray that you never meet her gaze in the darkness.